So you're getting married in D.C. Congratulations, it's a beautiful city. And you want those photos to be just as stunning, right? You've given us a ton of stuff here, articles, blog posts. I saw some forum threads even.
Oh, wow.
All about D.C. wedding photography. We're going to deep dive into all this and really pull out the gems, the stuff that'll make those photos unforgettable. To help us with all this visual storytelling, we've got an expert, someone who knows event photography like the back of their hand.
Yeah, wedding photos, I mean.
Yeah.
They're more than just pictures. They're time capsules. You're not just documenting the day. You're creating something you'll look back on for years and years, reliving those emotions.
Exactly. And one thing that jumped out from all this material was personalization. It's your wedding. It's your love story. How do you make sure those photos reflect that?
It's about going beyond just,
The standard poses.
Right. And thinking about what makes you two unique. Maybe it's incorporating a hobby that you share.
Okay.
Referencing a favorite movie. Maybe even choosing locations that have personal significance to you two.
So instead of just posing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial,
Right.
maybe you recreate like a scene from your first date at a bookstore.
Exactly. It's those details that add depth and turn a beautiful photo into something truly meaningful. And that's where the photographer comes in.
Right.
They need to understand your vision and translate it visually.
So it's not just about finding a photographer whose style you like, right? It's someone who's a good listener.
Absolutely.
Who can collaborate with you to tell your story.
Speaking of stories, DC itself provides just an incredible backdrop. I mean, you've got the iconic landmarks, charming neighborhoods, all this history, grandeur, just waiting to be captured.
Oh, there's so much variety. The elegance of Georgetown, the monuments, cobblestone streets. Options are endless. But how do you choose the right locations? I mean, it can be a little overwhelming.
It comes back to your vision, right? And the feeling you want to evoke. Think about the mood you're going for. Do you want classic and grand? Or something more intimate, more romantic? Then look for locations that echo that.
Okay, so if you're going for grand and majestic,
Right.
the Lincoln Memorial at sunset, maybe?
Beautiful.
But if you want something more intimate, a hidden garden. Tucked away courtyard.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to think outside the box a little bit. DC is full of hidden gems.
Right.
So instead of just the usual tourist spots, maybe consider a place that's special to you two, even if it's not traditionally photogenic. It's about finding those spots that resonate with your story.
It's like the city becomes part of your love story in those photos.
And while we're talking about capturing the essence of the day, we can't forget about those candid moments, the unscripted moments that really tell the story of your wedding.
The laughter, the happy tears, the stolen glances, those are the ones that people treasure, right?
Absolutely. Those are the ones that really capture the emotion of the day. A good photographer knows how to anticipate those moments, to be ready, to capture those fleeting expressions of joy and love. They're like visual storytellers weaving together a narrative of your wedding day through those candid shots.
But how do they do that? It's one thing to post for a photo.
Yeah.
But how do you capture genuine moments without it feeling forced or staged?
It's a combination of skill and intuition. A good photographer is like a ninja, right?
Okay.
Blending into the background, observing, anticipating those moments, and capturing them as they unfold naturally. It's also about making the couple feel comfortable so they can relax and be themselves.
So it's not just about technical skill, right?
Right.
But about having that good rapport with the couple and creating an environment where those genuine moments can happen.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that separates the good from the great.
Speaking of great photography, I know we hear a lot about golden hour being the ideal time.
Yes.
But what exactly is it? Why is it so special?
It's that magical hour after sunrise or before sunset when the light is soft and warm, casting that golden glow.
Okay, so it's not just any sunset, right?
Right. It's that specific window where the light is doing something magical. During golden hour, you get those long, soft shadows and a warm, romantic quality to the light that's just incredibly flattering for portraits. Imagine those shots with the Washington Monument bathed in golden light as your backdrop.
Breathtaking. And it's not just the monuments that benefit from that golden hour magic, right?
No, not at all.
The cherry blossoms in spring look even more dreamy at that soft light.
Cherry blossoms in spring, fiery foliage in fall, even a snowy landscape in winter can be transformed by that golden hour light. It adds a touch of magic to any scene. And that brings us to another important aspect of DC wedding photography, embracing the city's seasonal beauty.
Right, because DC has a completely different personality. In
Yes.
each season,
It does.
from the cherry blossoms
Yeah.
to the colorful leaves, it's like a constantly changing backdrop.
And those seasonal changes offer so many possibilities for unique and beautiful wedding photos. Imagine a spring wedding with photos amongst the cherry blossoms at the tidal basin. Or a winter wedding with snow falling gently as you exchange vows.
So it's about working with the season,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Using those natural elements
Yes.
to enhance the beauty of your photos.
Exactly. And a good photographer will know how to use the season to their advantage, finding the best locations, lighting, to create photos that capture the essence of that particular time of year.
This is all so insightful, but none of this matters
Right.
without the right person behind the lens. So let's talk about choosing a photographer
Yeah.
who can bring all of this to life. Our source material really emphasized finding someone whose style and approach resonates with you.
Finding the right photographer is crucial. It's about more than just liking their photos. It's about feeling a connection, trusting their vision, and knowing they can capture your story in a way that feels genuine to you.
So where do you even begin? There's so many photographers out there.
Yeah.
How do you narrow down the choices and find the one who's the perfect fit?
A good starting point is to look at their portfolio,
Okay.
but don't just skim through it. Really study it.
Okay, so we're not just looking for pretty pictures. We're looking for something more.
You want to see consistency in their work, consistent quality, composition, lighting, editing style.
Yeah?
Does their aesthetic align with the kind of look and feel that you envision for your photos?
That makes sense. But wouldn't you also want to see some variety
Of course.
in their portfolio?
Absolutely.
Like different locations,
Yes.
different lighting conditions, different types of weddings.
Variety is key. It shows they can handle different situations, different lighting challenges, different types of couples and wedding styles, and still deliver those amazing results. You want a photographer who can adapt, be creative, capture those perfect moments no matter what.
So we're looking for consistency and versatility.
Precisely. And once you've found a few photographers whose portfolios you love, it's time to dig a little deeper.
All right, so portfolio checked off the list. What's next? How do we really get to know these photographers and see if they're the right fit for us?
That's where those questions come in.
Why?
Remember that list we mentioned earlier? Don't be shy. By asking about their experience, their approach, their backup plan, all those important details.
Right. We need to understand their process, their style, and make sure there's someone that we can communicate with
Exactly.
openly and honestly.
And don't forget about those client reviews.
Oh, yeah.
Reading what other couples have to say about their experience can be really insightful. It gives you a glimpse into what it's like to work with this photographer on one of the most important days of your life.
This is also helpful. So we've talked about personalizing your photos, choosing locations, capturing those candid moments, understanding golden hour, and even how to find the right photographer. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's all part of creating those wedding photos that you'll treasure forever, and we're just getting started.
I can't wait to dive deeper. All right, we're back, ready to dive even deeper into DC wedding photography. I'm excited to uncover more of those expert tips and hidden gems.
Me too. We've covered a lot of ground already, but there's still so much more to explore. Let's pick up where we left off, choosing the right photographer.
Yes. We talked about portfolios, client reviews,
Yeah.
but what are some questions that we should be asking potential photographers? What are those red flags that might signal that they're not the right fit?
Great question. Asking the right questions is crucial. For example, find out how they handle challenging lighting situations.
Okay.
DC has a lot of indoor venues with low light,
All right.
and you want a photographer who can work with that.
That's a good point. I wouldn't want to end up with a bunch of dark, blurry photos just because the lighting wasn't ideal. What else should we be asking?
Definitely ask about their backup plan.
Okay.
What happens if their equipment malfunctions? Or if they get sick on the day of the wedding?
That's so important. It's your wedding day. You don't want to be stressing about those kinds of things.
Exactly. And don't forget to ask about their editing style.
Oh, okay.
Do they prefer a more natural look, or do they heavily edit their photos? Make sure their style aligns with your vision.
Oh, that's a good one. I've seen some wedding photos that are so heavily edited, they almost look fake. I think I'd prefer a more natural, authentic look.
And that's perfectly fine. The key is to find a photographer whose style matches your preferences.
All right, so we've grilled them with questions, checked their portfolios, read those client reviews. What's the next step? in this photographer selection process?
It's time to trust your gut. Do you feel a connection with this photographer? Do you trust their vision? Do you feel comfortable communicating with them openly and honestly? If the answer is yes, then you've probably found your perfect match.
I love that advice. Trust your gut, it's your wedding day. And you should feel confident and excited about the photographer you choose.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about maximizing those photo opportunities. We talked about golden hour.
Yes. Golden hour sounds amazing. But I need those practical tips. How do we translate that soft, warm light into stunning wedding photos?
First, talk to your photographer
Okay.
about scheduling some portraits during that time. They'll know the best spots. And how to position you to take advantage of the light.
Okay, so planning is key. We don't want to miss out on that golden hour magic
Right.
just because we didn't schedule it in.
Exactly. And think about incorporating some movement into your photos.
Okay.
Walking hand in hand, twirling, a gentle kiss. Those actions will create.
Oh, I love that idea. It's not just about standing still and smiling. It's about capturing those natural, candid moments.
And the golden hour light is perfect for that. It
Oh.
creates a soft, dreamy atmosphere that enhances those candid shots.
All right, so we've got golden hour covered. But what about those other times of day when the lighting might not be as ideal? Are there any tips?
Absolutely. For dealing with harsh sunlight or less than perfect conditions, a skilled photographer will know how to work with any lighting situation. They might use diffusers to soften harsh sunlight, find shaded areas for portraits, or even use reflectors to bounce light back onto the subject.
So it's not always about avoiding challenging light. It's about knowing how to use it creatively.
Exactly. A good photographer can turn any lighting situation into an opportunity for stunning photos.
That's reassuring. But it's not just the time of day. That affects the lighting, right?
You're right. The source material also mentioned the importance of considering the different seasons,
Yeah.
how they can impact your photos.
Right. DC is beautiful year-round, but each season has its own unique charm.
It does.
We talked about cherry blossoms in spring and snow in winter. But let's explore those other seasons. Okay, so
Right.
summer in DC can be hot and humid. Are there any locations that would be ideal for summer wedding photos?
Think about places with shade and water features. The National Arboretum has beautiful gardens and a koi pond, which would create a serene and romantic setting. You could also consider Dumbarton Oaks with its stunning gardens and fountains.
Oh, those are great ideas. And what about fall? I imagine those vibrant colors could be a stunning backdrop.
Absolutely. Rock Creek Park is a must-visit in the fall. The colorful leaves create a magical setting for photos. You could also consider a stroll along the C&O Canal with the fall foliage reflected in the water.
Wow, those are some seriously picturesque locations. It sounds like DC truly offers a stunning backdrop,
Yeah,
no matter what time of year you get married.
And don't forget about the city's iconic architecture. Those grand buildings, those historic monuments, they add a timeless elegance to your photos.
Speaking of timeless, I keep seeing that word pop up in the source material. Timeless wedding photos. What exactly does that mean?
Timeless photos are those that will stand the test of time. They won't look dated or trendy in a few years. They'll capture the essence of your love and the beauty of your wedding day in a way that feels classic and enduring.
So it's about creating images that will still be beautiful and meaningful 50 years from now.
Exactly. And that comes down to choosing a photographer who understands how to create timeless images. Someone who focuses on capturing genuine emotions and classic compositions.
All right, so we've talked about finding the right photographer, maximizing golden hour, working with different lighting conditions, embracing the seasons, and even the concept of timeless photography. It seems like we've covered almost everything.
Almost. But there's one more crucial element that we haven't touched on yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
oh, right. The happy couple. But we've been talking about them this whole time,
We have.
haven't we?
But I'm talking about something specific.
Yeah.
Your role in creating those unforgettable wedding photos.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. What can we as the couple do to ensure that our wedding photos are everything we've dreamed of?
It all comes down to being yourselves and trusting your photographer. Relax, have fun, and let your personality shine through.
That sounds easy enough, but I know some people get nervous in front of the camera. Any tips for those of us who aren't naturally photogenic?
Communicate with your photographer. Tell them you're feeling nervous. A good photographer will know how to put you at ease and help you feel comfortable in front of the camera.
That's good advice. And what about those awkward poses? Are there any ways to avoid feeling stiff or unnatural?
Again, it's about communication. Talk to your photographer about poses that feel natural to you. And don't be afraid to move around, interact with each other, and just have fun.
So it's not about trying to be someone we're not. It's about embracing our personalities and letting the photographer capture those genuine moments.
Exactly. And remember, those candid shots, the laughter, the
Mhm.
stolen glances, the emotional moments, those are often the most beautiful and meaningful photos.
This is also helpful. I'm feeling so much more confident with the whole wedding photography process now.
That's great to hear. And remember, we're just scratching the surface here. There's a whole world of DC wedding photography waiting to be explored.
I can't wait to dive even deeper. We'll be back in just a moment.
For the final part of our deep dive into capturing your DC wedding in timeless photographs. We're back for the final part on our deep dive into DC wedding photography. I'm so excited to wrap things up and leave you feeling totally ready to rock those wedding photos.
Me too. We've covered a lot of ground. Choosing a photographer, working with light and seasons,
Yeah.
finding those unique DC locations. But there's one piece that brings it all together.
Okay, lay it on me. What's the secret ingredient?
It's about going beyond just documenting the event.
Okay.
Think of your wedding photos as heirlooms. You're capturing a feeling, a moment in time, something that'll connect you back to that joy, even decades later.
So it's not just about looking good in the photos.
Right.
It's about capturing the emotion,
Yes.
the energy
It's
of the
that.
day.
And that comes through in those candid moments we talked about. The stolen glances, the laughter during speeches, even a tear wiped away during the ceremony. Those are the images that'll really transport you back. I'm starting to see why those candid shots are so powerful. It's like they capture the soul of the wedding, not just the pretty details. But how do you make sure those moments get captured? It's not like you can plan for them.
That's where trust in your photographer comes in. A skilled photographer is like a photo ninja,
Yeah.
anticipating those moments,
Right.
blending in so they can capture the genuine emotions as they happen.
It's almost like a dance between you and the photographer.
Yes.
You're being yourselves, enjoying the day, and they're there to capture those authentic moments as they unfold.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, communication is key. If there are specific moments or traditions that are especially meaningful to you, let your photographer know beforehand.
Right, like maybe there's a family heirloom you're incorporating.
Yes.
Or a special dance you're doing. Those are the things
Exactly.
you'd want captured first.
The more your photographer understands about what's important to you, the better they'll be able to capture those moments in a way that feels truly special.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like we've gone beyond just the technical aspects and really explored the heart of what makes wedding photos so meaningful.
I'm glad to hear that. And I hope we've inspired you to think beyond just a checklist of shots and to really see your wedding photos
Yeah,
as a way to tell your unique love story.
absolutely. But before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier,
Okay.
the idea of timeless wedding photos. It's a concept that keeps coming up. But what does it really mean in practical terms?
It's about creating images that won't feel dated in a few years. Think classic compositions, natural poses, and a focus on genuine emotion
Yeah.
rather than fleeting trends.
So it's about creating something that will still resonate with you and your family decades from now, even as styles change.
Exactly. And that's something you can discuss with your photographer.
Okay.
Share your vision for timeless photos.
Yeah.
And they can help you choose locations, poses, and editing styles that will stand the test of time.
This has been such an incredible deep dive. I feel like we've explored every nook and cranny of DC wedding photography, from choosing the right photographer to embracing the city's unique charm.
And most importantly, I hope we've inspired you to create wedding photos that are not only beautiful, but also meaningful, a true reflection of your love story.
I think we've definitely achieved that. So as we wrap up, what's your final piece of advice for our listener as they embark on their DC wedding photography journey?
Enjoy the process. Wedding planning can be stressful, but remember to savor those moments with your partner and have fun creating these memories that will last a lifetime.
That's such a great reminder. And on that note, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into capturing your DC wedding in timeless photographs. We hope you've learned a lot and are feeling inspired to create images that you'll cherish forever.